America, my name is Osei-Frimpong. I come to you every Monday and Thursday. Today's Friday. I know, I have reasons. But let's talk about the difference between explorers and trailblazers, because a lot of people get this confused, and it matters because trailblazers actually matters, and explorers are kind of a different breed. And so when you go to a function and there's some black luminary who's being held up as a trailblazer, you have to understand, if that's true, they should have a legion of people behind them who would do at least as well as they do or better, right? If they don't have a legion of people behind them who are actually behind them because of the pass that they made, then they're not a trailblazer. They're an explorer. They went out and did something bold and brave and come back, and few people will go again. Because to blaze a trail means that you have carved out a lane for people that is actually different than the lane you yourself traversed, right? Because you might have got there through some random mutation, some like social blip. And that just kind of like, if you're like a 6'9" basketball player, that's not blazing a trail, right, for the community, because the community is not going to be 6'9". Right. So you got there because of a random mutation or a blip or some sort of like social moment. Right. So a lot of baby boomers got where they were because we had pretty good affirmative action programs during the 80s and 90s that wanted to see a certain sort of black person succeed. So they got those programs. And it turns out that they didn't succeed in the right way because they didn't blaze trails as much as they explored. And, they let those programs lapse, and now their kids aren't doing as well, just in general. So you have to understand that black downward mobility, and you could Google Brookings downward mobility black, and a study will come up that says, 3 out of 5, I think, black people, it might be higher, 3 out of 5 black people who are born in the middle class are going to sink into poverty. Like, we are a downwardly mobile people. Like, we are not sustaining. We are downwardly mobile. The kids are not doing as well as the olders in America for the blacks. Right? So, I mean, that's true at a community level. You can say, well, my family, we're doing better. Well, your family might be an anomaly. Like my kids are going to do better because I do and think about things like this. Most people who think that just the institutions, if they do it the way I did it, it'll be fine. They're not actually blazing a trail for their kids to do it because the way they did it was contingent on a political moment and a social moment. Right? And the moments have changed, and the moments can change. So you want to blaze a trail that's one moment proof for your kids and for the community in general, and so they don't have to do it like you do it. My kids are going to have a much easier time, and hopefully go farther than I am. I want your kids to have an easier time and go farther than both you and me. Like I want us to win as a people. That's why I do these videos every Monday and Thursday. And if you appreciate what I do, go ahead and go to www.funkyacademic.com and kick in $5, $15, or $50 a month, because I'm trying to give you the quality of wisdom that'll not let you squander your life and squander your most intimate responsibility, which is raising your children. And not screwing up your marriage and all that other stuff, and also being appropriate to the political moment for the community. So a lot of explorers boldly go where few people will go again, and they take one small step for man and then one great leap for that same man, right? So it's not as if they build the quality of institution that many people can go through. For example, let's give an example of a real trailblazer, Dr. Tommy Curry. Dr. Tommy Curry is a trailblazer. He's got a functioning understanding of institutions that I think is unmatched. There will be talk, not just in his academic work, The Man Not, which is a great book. Oh, I do have a copy of it here. Great book. And I say it's a trailblazing type of book because it's so generative. You could have an entire sub-discipline off of any one of the chapters in this book. But so as an academic, trailblazing scholarship, because it's actually generative. It's generative, and without that, it'll allow other people to do like better work on, the questions of that face not only black men but race in general, and why there's so many obstacles to doing and studying black men. Like there are 5 subgenres in this book, and that makes it trailblazing academic work. But also, he's building institutions over at the University of Edinburgh. He's got like a black male studies department. He's making it so the case that you don't have to be a Tommy Curry to do good work. You don't actually have to be as good as he is, because very few people are. He's a once in a generation mind. So in the same way that someone like W.B. Du Bois was trailblazing, even Booker T. Washington, trailblazing, because they built institutions and the ideology that upheld those institutions that made it so that people after them can go farther than they can because of them and do it in numbers. Other people are explorers. Ralph Bunchy, I'm sure people talk about Ralph Bunchy as if he was trailblazing, but it turns out he was just an explorer, which is fine. You can come back, get your memorial, whatever. But to call yourself a trailblazer means that you have terraformed the terrain. You've changed the culture in a meaningful way that allows people to actually, in numbers, not because of some random mutation or not because of some genius intellect, but like in numbers, you've enabled the regular person to follow behind and succeed, and that's what you want to do. But in order to do that, you have to do trail maintenance. There's a metabolism you have to sustain because there are natural forces external to the trail that want to overgrow the trail. And so you need to build in hedges. You need to build in an economy, an institutional metabolism that sustains against the encroaching factors. You have to defend the territory, and it can't just be through an exertion of individual will. It has to be institutionalized so that then people can go through, right? And then there are a lot of trailblazers, and for the people like, for example, Booker T. Washington, who are legit trailblazers, you have to ask, well, where were they? Now that we've established that they're a trailblazer and not an explorer, where's this trail leading to? Is it leading to freedom? Is it leading to self-determination, or is it leading to just a more comfortable place in alienation? So you have to distinguish between the explorers who go and then come back and tell stories, and maybe they go there, they get the loot, and then they come back and tell stories, and then the legit trailblazers who actually carve a path for other people in numbers to come from behind. And but then you have to ask, where are those trailblazers leading you to? Where are those trailblazers truly leading you to? And that's the questions we have to ask ourselves. Let's not confuse a lot. And all of these people are going to be first blacks. They're going to be the first black this, the first black that. But that doesn't tell you if they're an explorer or a trailblazer. The question is, how soon is it going to be till the next few hundred blacks are in that same position? That'll tell you this. That'll tell you the difference. That'll tell you the difference because of that person's work. Not independently, but because of. That'll tell you the difference. Because if they were the first black and then you only see another black or comes into that place when that person retires, that's not. I mean, Oprah was the first black a lot of things, but was she a trailblazer, or was someone going to have to do that anyway? I think someone, she fulfilled a spot that opened up for a certain amount of time, and someone was going to fill that spot. She didn't generate an economy of spots. Someone was going to be Oprah. Someone was going to be Oprah. It was just time for an Oprah. And now, there are a few more Oprah types just because the media ecosystem is bigger. But, she didn't really trailblaze in any meaningful way for the people, for the culture. Right? You can say, So just think in terms of, are you a trailblazer or are you an explorer? And what does it take to be a trailblazer? Well, one, you should be You can't just go to someplace interesting. You have to actually lead people to someplace good, which takes a quality of insight and wisdom that you might not have, which is fine. But that's why I do this show, and that's why you should support me doing this show. I help you kind of think through that. But also you have to think about the institutional metabolism that sustains the trail against encroaching factors. Because there's a reason there hasn't been a trail there before, but because there's an institutional ecosystem or metabolism that keeps the growth as is. So as you're blazing the trail, you have to account for what you have to do to keep out encroaching factors. And if you're not serious about that, then you can't be surprised when the trail overgrows right behind you. And then someone else has to come in through their own ingenuity and random mutation or whatever, take advantage. But that's not trailblazing. That's just kind of like you got lucky. Or you didn't get lucky. You did it through individual will, which is great, but it's not the same as like community uplift proper. All right. Thank you for your time. I will talk to you on Monday. I want to do a show about faith and reason and the importance of subjectivity. You need to have a sort of faith and reason in order to participate in any of these meaningful institutions. And if you don't have a faith and reason, if you don't have the right subjectivity, you're always going to be participating on the defense because you don't really think that other people will participate fairly. And if you don't actually think that other people will participate fairly, you can't win. You can't win. We think we can win in an unjust world with the understanding that everybody will be unjust all the time, but that's just not the case. Anyway, I'll talk to you about why it's important to, and this goes back to my last show on why you should just stay together for the kids. Because if you break up for the kids, that really undermines their faith and reason, so they'll just kind of pull back from or be mercenaries in all institutional endeavors, which isn't particularly great for them. To either raise a mercenary or raise for someone who doesn't want to pull the trigger because they just know that everybody they're dealing with is narrowly and they're just dealing with mercenaries because that's what they saw at home. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about the importance of faith and reason in building the quality of subjectivity in both your partners and children so that they can be self-determining and participate in institutions well. Thank you.